Let's get started. My name is Nicole D. Miller, and I am author of When Love Wins. When Love Wins is an urban Christian fiction story detailing the events of two young female cousins. When Natalie loses her mom, she moves in with her cousin Ashley and her uncle Malcolm to receive support from grief. Instead of a warm welcome, she gets an icy cold one from Ashley, who has beef from their childhood. And this story is laced with mental health illnesses such as depression, anxiety, cutting, grief recovery, parent absenteeism, love, sisterhood, faith. You can learn more at whenlovewins.love. Alright, so as you guys know, every week I piggyback off of my latest blog. I missed last week, so this week I am doing 2 for 1. So first we're going to cover my blog, Do It Scared. So in Do It Scared, I share about my horrendous experience as an undergrad student at Miami University. Shout out to my alma mater. In my accounting class in particular. Now, I was traumatized by accounting, you guys. I was struggling. I was on the struggle bus, okay? And I actually cried in one of our exams. And I left, fleeing with emotion out the door. Now I can kind of, dramatize it now, but it was no laughing matter then. So I talk about that in this blog and how basically God became my strength where I was weak. As many of you know, I ended up with an MBA in accounting. And my experience in grad school was totally different than undergrad. I ended up getting a 3.8 GPA. I opened a bookkeeping business. I did that for several years. I worked in bookkeeping. So here it was, this area that terrified me, traumatized me, made me feel like a failure. If there are any type A overachievers out there, you know how I felt. You feel like your world is ending. And yet, going back, getting the word that I needed to go back and get my MBA in accounting was such a leap of faith. And I leapt and I landed on my feet. Thank God. So my encouragement to you guys in that blog post is, even if you're scared, do it. Don't let fear hold you back. We kind of heard that saying over and over, do it scared, right? But that's my testimony. I did it scared, and it resulted in greater accolades, greater opportunity, greater success. So the next blog that I just dropped on Monday is From Anxious to Secure. So in this blog post, I share my ongoing journey with overcoming anxiety and fear. And I talk about my background of growing up in a home that bred a survival mentality, a home full of single mothers, right? Just grinding, trying to make ends meet, trying to provide for their children. And although I was provided for and my needs were met, I received this mindset that I must be afraid and work hard to get my needs met. And then when I came to faith, all of a sudden it was like the opposite teaching of don't work at certain times in my journey and trust God, He's going to provide. And do not be afraid. That's the biggest one. It actually says be anxious for nothing in scripture, right? So that's a command. No matter what's going on, you are commanded not to be anxious. So I went through my ups and downs with this teaching. I'm still going through my ups and downs daily. But one period of my life stands out that I blog about, and that was when I was in career transition after college. There was one company that I worked for in particular, and they were trying to keep me from working for this other company. And in the course of this standstill, of this transition, I was so stressed and so full of anxiety that my hair fell out. And you guys, I've always had long thick hair, right? But I lost so much hair that my hairdresser had to cut my hair in a bob, and it was way up here because of how much damage I had from stress. So I actually include that picture on the blog post if you want to check it out. But long story short, in this season of my journey, I came across a really great resource called the Personal Development School. And shout out to Tyus Gibson. And so I'm tapping into that, and I took the quiz, and crazy enough, it said that I scored secure, right? Well, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. So I took the quiz 3 more times, and it actually was from a different platform. I think they're called the Attachment Project. And my friend was like, girl, just find a different quiz. Like, why you keep taking this quiz over and over? Find a different quiz. So I found a different quiz, which was the Professional Development Schools quiz. Still score secure. I'm like, maybe, okay, you know, this is just what it is. And so what I knew God was showing me was like, clearly I got my struggles. But it's not about perfection. And you hear this all the time. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. I've heard that like a million times. Never related to it until looking at my story. I'm like, oh, this is me. So I'm not perfect, but I've progressed come a long way and progressed a lot. And so when I look back on the last 20 years, which is nuts to think it's been that long. Why am I old enough to even think like, oh, 20 years ago? But that's when I started my journey of healing and wholeness. And for me, it was wrapped in the package of spirituality and faith. So I just knew that I wanted to heal from a really bad breakup. Having no idea God had bigger plans. It was about my wholeness. It wasn't just about that particular healing. And I feel like on this path of faith, God just hooks you up in these other areas to where anxiety, doubt, fear, all of the stuff, our mental health, our physical health, all the other things that we struggle with can be healed and made whole. And I don't think it's perfect. I still have other struggles I'm going through. But I do recognize how far I've come and how grateful I am to have made it this far, because it's not been easy. And I think anything worth having, you do work hard for, right? There is sacrifice. It is making the hard choices. And I can honestly say over the last 20 years, I've definitely made the hard choices in terms of my health. And when it's counted, you know, it's been rewarded. I've received the reward of making those hard choices, with now having grown in my self-esteem, having had my identity revealed, my purpose revealed, having a strong sense of self. Those things were not in me at age 20. There were glimpses, but because of my struggles at the time, I didn't know my purpose. I didn't have the value that I should have of myself. I didn't have, I had somewhat of a strong sense of self because I was affirmed as an only child, but not enough because of other abandonment issues as a child. And then finding myself in these codependent relationships and friendships where I would lose my sense of self and identity because of the codependency that was in my home and my own issues, right? So it's like all this stuff functioning in me as a 20-year-old that now at 40, I could just see the progress. It's like, oh, I'm not as codependent as I used to be. And I definitely have more self-value and self-respect and a sense of purpose and identity outside of a relationship or friendship. So that was a lot. I hope you guys resonate with some of that. Tap in, go to my blog at WdW.com. Go to the Professional Development Schools page. They have so many resources, and I will put the link in the comments and this on my YouTube page. So, all right, you can learn more at NicoleDMiller.com. Grab my book at WhenLoveWins.love. And we do have a Girl Talk brewing, okay? You guys know quarterly we do Girl Talk, so we do have it brewing, and it's going to be September 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. So stay tuned for deets on that note. It's going to be live. That's all I'm saying. The topic is, can Black love still happen? Drop the mic. I'm dropping the mic right now. Okay? Can Black love still happen? All right, guys. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. And thank you for joining.